We do a lot of things electronically these days. Just look around you. We communicate with our computers using our favorite email client. We talk and text with friends and family through our cell phones. And we even receive news and information through our favorite television and radio stations. We do these things daily, and all of it is fast, painless, and electronically based. It will make sense that we can also purchase things in this fashion. Companies like Amazon and eBay have developed significant businesses around it. We're talking, of course, about e-commerce. Electronic commerce, or e-commerce as it's more commonly known, is the buying and selling of goods or services over a computer network. These days, this means over the internet, because it connects billions of people all over the world. In this type of structure, all of the viewing, selling, negotiation, and payment of the traditional shopping experience is handled electronically. Companies like Amazon and eBay, and even Visa and MasterCard, have created significant businesses around this type of structure. And it gets bigger every day as more businesses add an online presence to their offerings. E-commerce infrastructure is computer-based. As a result, like most computer systems, e-commerce infrastructure has both hardware and software components to it. From a hardware perspective, the infrastructure involves a number of items. Some of these include servers. These are computers that handle the processing requirements for the infrastructure. Proxy servers. This is a server that acts as an intermediary between the outside world and the resources of the e-commerce infrastructure. Load balancers. These devices split the work to be done so that it's evenly distributed among the e-commerce infrastructure. Firewalls. These are protection devices that restrict what a user can do with the e-commerce infrastructure. Encryption devices. These devices translate information into non-human readable forms and protect it from prying eyes. Interactive voice response units. This is the computer-generated voice you hear when you use voicemail or when you call a company's automated support center. From a software perspective, some of the infrastructure includes content management systems. This is software that controls user access to the content. User-accessible information stored on the e-commerce infrastructure. Web analytics. These are software tools that provide various web statistics, such as the number of users or their IP addresses about the e-commerce infrastructure. Text analytics. This software provides various text-based capabilities, like spell checking and voice-to-speech or speech-to-voice conversion. Application Programming Interfaces, API. This provides access points that software developers can use to incorporate the capabilities of the e-commerce infrastructure into their own offerings. Database servers. These servers handle stored information, such as customer accounts, within the e-commerce infrastructure. Middleware. These are software tools that glue various portions of an e-commerce infrastructure together and are typically used where unique systems must work in concert. At the most fundamental level, planning and management of e-commerce infrastructure involve the selection, assembly, and maintenance of the hardware and software listed prior. This, in itself, is no small feat. But before any of that can be attempted, a series of more basic questions must be answered. What business problems are we trying to solve? This leads to a number of sub-questions. Essentially, we're trying to determine who the customer is and what they're paying us for. Does this type of business lend itself to an e-commerce approach? Not all businesses do. How will the interaction with the customer work? How do they view the product? How do they pay for it? How many users are we likely to have? This will help us determine the amount of resources, hardware, and software we will need for our e-commerce infrastructure. Once these are answered, we're ready to move on to the selection, assembly, and maintenance of the e-commerce infrastructure. Let's take a couple of moments to review the important information that we've learned here. So, to recap, electronic commerce, or e-commerce, is the buying and selling of goods or services over a computer network. E-commerce infrastructure has both hardware and software components. Hardware components include servers, proxy servers, load balancers, firewalls, encryption devices, and interactive voice response units. Software components include content management systems, web analytics, text analytics, application programming interfaces, or API, database servers, and middleware. E-commerce infrastructure planning and maintenance involve a number of things related to the hardware and software mentioned. But on a more basic level, it must answer the questions: what problem are we trying to solve? Does the problem lend itself to e-commerce? How will customer interaction work? And how many customers are we likely to have?